Well, wow. The Cowboys continue to surprise me this season, continuing to answer questions, continuing to put things on film and on footage. That really is impressing me. Now, again, we are still in the regular season. I am looking for better things than just a good regular season record, but still, I'm not going to sit here and act like I am not happy right now. The Dallas Cowboys are 4-1. They've won 4 straight with Cooper Rush under center, and this defense, more importantly, holding it down. The Cowboys defense has limited opponents to 14.4 points per contest, and that is something that is legendary right there, and that's something to keep an eye out on. Now, I, again, do not think that this is going to keep going, but I could be wrong. But the Dallas Cowboys have continued their streak of not allowing more than 2 touchdowns in a game. They have limited the Rams offense to 10 points. I'll get into what exactly they did that I liked, and they stuck to it. Before we get into that, if you can like this video, subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell, do all that crap, and that'd be great. So let's go ahead and take a look at the team stats as I pulled it up here. So the Cowboys had 10 first downs compared to LA's 14. Dallas had 11 less plays than the Rams. Offensively, the Cowboys only had 239 yards of offense. Both had 12 drives. Passing-wise, if you include sack totals, the Cowboys had a net 76 yards, okay? I understand that Cooper Rush passed for the amount he did, but if you're including those sack numbers, I mean, when you're 10 for 16 and you only throw that much, it's really hard to win games like that unless you have the performances like we had with the defense. Now, rushing-wise, the Cowboys, 163 rushing yards on the day. They had 3 sacks, I believe. I thought we had 5, but I'm sorry, we had 5 sacks. 5 sacks on the day. We had 2 red zone attempts, which we were 0 of 2, which we need to clean up. And we had 5 penalties. And we really, if I'm being honest with you, we should have had a lot more holding penalties called on the Rams, but they weren't. And, I mean, this honestly was a ref, squad that didn't really call a whole lot of flags. And they don't really anyway. The Rams had 3 total turnovers. And we had a defensive touchdown. And in terms of time of possession, near half and half. So, after kind of going over that, I wanted to kind of set the expectation of how these teams did. Now, let's start with the offense. It's clear as day. We need Dak Prescott back fully healthy for a nice push for later down the line. As I said in my previous video, these are 2 key games for the Cowboys to make their mark. They won one of them. They have another game upcoming versus Philadelphia, which we'll mention at the end. But the Cowboys really did a good job at facilitating offense here. The Cowboys, passing-wise, didn't need to do a whole lot. It was just simple stuff here and there. And Cooper Rush, this really wasn't the best game, but again, they didn't ask him to do a whole lot. Running the ball, Tony Pollard, his 57-yard touchdown, and the way the Cowboys responded to that Cooper Kupp touchdown, man, like, it's definitely something that is a welcome surprise here in Cowboy land, is that the team is showing resilience. Like, they will get punched in the mouth, and like, in our years past, we would say, that's it, they got hit in the mouth. But now, this team will get gut punched, but they will fight back. And that's something we've been waiting for with the Cowboys team. And this has been, I mean, this has been in every single contest pretty much. I mean, you had the first game. The second game, you had the Bengals try to punch you, but you went back. And, I mean, you really punched them first, but you were able to take the blows and get that win there. You go on, you beat the Giants, you beat the Commanders. I mean, with the Giants game, you get punched again. You respond. The Commanders, you take them to the woodshed. And in this game, the Cowboys defense really did their job. 0 points for the Rams in the second half. And honestly, if it wasn't for the two big plays, I personally think that the Cowboys probably shut out the Rams. The Rams didn't look good at all offensively, and I guess this is where we will transition. And also for the wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb had 5 catches on 8 targets. He had 1 really good catch and then a bad drop that really would have extended the drive on one of them. Michael Gallup, he had a bad drop too, which probably would have been a touchdown. But hey, he did his thing. He had the really clutch catch for the Cowboys. 4 catches, 5 targets. Noah Brown only had 5 yards, and I think Schultz had 1 target. So it really wasn't a whole lot for the Cowboys. The other thing, too, is that Cooper Rush, again, there's only so much the guy can do, and it's clear as day. I think that you're really being a dumbass if you think that we need to keep him under center, and this was the game that showed that. And I'm not trying to say that to downplay what he's done. I mean, he's done his job, but it's clear that we need a better guy in there, and I'm hoping Dak is healthy for that later push. Now, defensively, the Cowboys, and I love what they did here, they made Matt Stafford try to beat him. They stopped the run. The Rams tried to go with the pass. And with that, Matt Stafford, 28 for 42, 308, a touchdown, and an interception. He was sacked 5 times, ladies and gentlemen. And that is huge. The Dallas Cowboys, and if you said, this is the numbers, you're like, huh, that's really weird. But what's really good is, and I hate it because a lot of the yards that Matt Stafford, we want to talk about garbage time. Yes, there was a point in time where they were kind of driving and then he threw the interception, but they couldn't really get anything going offensively, and that's something is important as we get into these other games. I have a bit of a cold, so I do apologize if I'm but the defensive touchdown really set the tone early. And the long snapper issue, because McQuaid's out for the season, after that first hiccup, it was fine. But you get that defensive touchdown, you really just, throw LA off their game. And I mean, if you think about it, that was the first possession. That was the first drive. And that resulted in a touchdown by DeMarcus Lawrence, who I think also had the strip sack fumble. Let's see here. I'm just taking a look. And I also forgot to mention with the offensive line, Tyler Smith, I mean, you had Aaron Donald on that side, so it's kind of it's hard, but they did a decent job for what it was. Trevon Diggs, your leading tackler. Anthony Barr and, Anthony Barr had a really good game. Micah Parsons, he had the groin thing. He got 2 sacks, key sacks at that, and he had a tackle for a loss. He had 6 tackles for a loss, which is great. Osa had a sack. Dorrance Armstrong had a sack. Jordan Lewis had a sack. So that's really good. The Cowboys doing their thing defensively. And then Maher doing his job too. 3 field goals. The longest one was 40. He kicked the extra point. The only reason they missed the other extra point was because it was a botched snap. The only thing is that Brian Anger is scaring me because he has had 2 games where I'm worried about the ball, his ability to get the ball downfield in these punts, because you really nearly cost the Cowboys some, in these situations in these last 2 games, given where these games were going. Turpin had a nice little kick return, nothing too fancy. And Malik Hooker with the only interception, really the interception to close the game. Now, other thoughts from this game. Mike McCarthy deserves a lot more praise. I've been super busy, so I haven't been able to do that video. I'll probably do that video tomorrow, where I'll be talking about why I think Mike McCarthy deserves our praise at this point, because he's 8-1 in his last 9 games without his starting quarterback, and that's something to be commended. Cooper Rush is undefeated as a starter. That's great, but now you have a team in Philadelphia that you're going on the road against where we don't know what quarterback we're getting. Are we getting Dak back? Are we sticking with Cooper Rush? I personally think that the momentum with the defense will travel, but with the offense, I think if you're going to go back to Dak and you want to do, like, I'm just saying, if you are pushing it, sure. I'm still under the same belief. Listen, you're 4-1. Another win buys you time to bring your quarterback back. I'm okay with Dak not playing in this next game. Even if you lose, I would rather go 1-1 knowing that I can rest my quarterback than, continue and, like, just force it back. And that's kind of going to be the next question that we'll talk about when that comes to pass, is what do we do when Dak Prescott returns? And I'm telling you right now, the game plan that the Cowboys have here, excellent. It's the best way to reintegrate Dak Prescott back into this offense, which he'll probably have rust. But then again, we've seen moments where Dak, like, we thought he would be rusty and he looked amazing, and I'm talking about that Bucks. Oh, it's one game, Space. What do you do? It's still an example. Yeah, you can mention the Broncos game from last year, but that's a prime example of, like, you rushing him back. If Dak Prescott follows doctor advice and they say, hey, he is good to go, then that's it. I'm not gonna be upset if he plays. I'm not gonna be upset if he doesn't play. It's just a matter of what we have to do here. And another thing too is that the defense is playing very well, and I want to make this abundantly clear. I am not satisfied that the fact that we've won 4 in a row. We've done this before. In fact, we did it last year. What I want to see is, does this continue? Do we continue to build momentum? And then when you get Dak Prescott back, what do you do offensively? Does it get better? Because if the defense continues on its pace, even if they give up 20 points or multiple touchdowns, I don't care. My point is that if the Cowboys defense continues at the pace they're at and the offense continues to get better, and then Dak Prescott comes back and now the offense is starting to get into a rhythm, this is a very scary team, people. And I say that because of what we're seeing. I'm glad I was wrong, for now. There is still plenty of season to go. I mean, you have done your job as a team to be in the best position possible to win these games, and your defense closes them out. I love what has been going on. I mean, Kellen sometimes gets on my nerves, but the ability to run the football efficiently and effectively to rest the defense is great. Like, a good example of this happened in the third quarter because the Cowboys go on a long drive, they get 3 points. Oh, you want to get more points, but point being is you get points, knowing how the game is going. Then your defense, while they're rested, goes back out there, and the Rams are like, they're slowly chugging yardage, but then they punt, and that took 6 minutes off the board. And that is exactly how the Cowboys are going to win games. The point is that you want to, I think when Dak comes back, the game plan needs to be, we need to do what works and roll with it. I think that if you get up early, don't worry about continuing to pass it. Let's run the ball, drain the clock, let's rest the defense, and then let the opposing offense take as long as they need to get down the field. Even if you allow a touchdown, right? If it means that you took off 8 to 10 minutes, like, you look at that Bengals game, right? If the Bengals, which they would have gone for, but if they had not scored a touchdown on that drive and they milked all that clock, think about what that would mean. And I think that is really huge here. And I don't want to keep talking in circles, but now that you have Philadelphia on the horizon, which I understand they're still undefeated, but they are a beatable opponent. This game against the Cardinals, they started off hot. They scored 14 points. And they only scored 6 points for the remainder of the game. They only kicked 2 field goals. So I'm not really they're a good team. And I still firmly hold this belief that they need to perform better in the second half. And that's where I'm kind of telling if you're a Cowboys fan and you're kind of looking at how to attack Philadelphia, the one thing that I notice is they like to do a lot of quick passes and they like to try and run the ball with Hurts and Sanders. So the Cowboys tend to struggle with the mobile quarterbacks, so I'm really curious to see how they'll tackle Philadelphia. But if the Cowboys can limit the run game, like you kind of have to do the situation that you've been doing. Take away the run game, use your pass rush to force the opposing defense to try and beat you. Or, excuse me, the opposing offense try to beat you passing-wise, right? And now Jalen Hurts has improved, but my main thing is that I think you can beat him. Will they? We will see. But I'm going to tell you this right now. If Dak doesn't play, even if you win or lose, it doesn't matter. You got your quarterback another game of rest, and it really felt like it was, we're getting to a point to where it's like, yeah, Dak is now just, we're waiting for him to get healthy. And I think that that's going to be the big moment for the year is that, again, I said if this team initially, when Dak Prescott went out, if you're 3-5, by the time that Dak Prescott returns, let's say at the bye week or whatever, you're good. This Cowboys team needs one more win, and they'll have 5 wins, which is a nice record to be at, with this being the hardest part of your schedule. Yeah, I said it. And the Packers don't look as impressive as I thought. Then again, we'll see if it had to deal with the London stuff. The Giants, they're 4-1, but again, it's kind of like both them and Philly have me in these weird ropes where it's like I don't see it, but I can understand why they're winning games, and that's not to detract from what they're doing, but I'm just being real with you guys that they're beatable teams. Will Dallas beat them? We will see. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this little recap, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Goodbye.